Backbone is a moody post-noir narrative adventure developed by EggNut and published by Rule of Fury. It features a raccoon private eye by the name Howard Lotor running around a dystopian city full of other animal critters, looking into criminal shenanigans and generally making a nuisance of himself. Starting off, you're given the case of some otter lady wanting you to check out what her supposedly unfaithful husband's been up to, so that she can score custody of their kids. However, that's only the start of your troubles, as it soon turns out something a lot more sinister is going on. I should mention real quick that at first I thought the music was busted since it was so quiet, but it turns out it's just shy and took a little while before it kicked in when your client arrives. It had me genuinely wondering if something was wrong. But in general, it's pretty alright, doing a good job at enhancing the atmosphere, while the main menu music in particular is smooth to listen to. In any case, as you walk around, you'll be constantly treated to the eye candy that is the 2.5D pixel art. The attention to detail paid here is fantastic, with every little motion carefully carried out and flowing really well as you move around and interact with people. It's really beautifully done and captivating to look at, with the layered backgrounds being full of little details that really add up into an authentic, lived-in feeling to the city. Whereas the nightlife of downtown Vancouver, with smoky interiors and shady nightclubs that really sell the noir feel, or the dirty shanties of the working class in the outer parts of town. No matter where you are, Backbone does a stellar job at selling you on its pixel art aesthetics. While you run around enjoying the sights, you'll be chatting up all sorts of NPCs to gather information, and early on, what decisions you make and things you say can affect how you'll go about your objectives. Whether it's annoying some pusher until he gets you into that aforementioned shady nightclub, or helping out some bunny boys so he'll let you climb all over his newsstand. Along the way, you'll meet a couple of key recurring characters, like your cabbie friend Anatoly, who will be your taxi to all the different places you'll be checking out. He's generally a likable, if lazy, family man, bless him. Then there's Renee, some wannabe investigative journalist fox lady, who will be your employer in the not-so-far-distant future, as she's keen on figuring out what's the dealer with Clarissa, who's some big bad bear bitch babe who's into some really shady stuff. It is nice seeing the relationship develop between Renee and Howard over the course of the story, but there are some times where the choice in dialogue is either different ways of saying the same thing, or just kind of a strange flux to the writing quality as things progress. Overall, it's not bad though. Also from the get-go, it's made pretty clear that Howard is something of a loser, often getting beaten up or openly insulted, along with having a pretty low self-esteem. It can honestly feel a bit much at times, but he seems alright for the most part. As for the rest of the gameplay, you're introduced early on to the simple stealth mechanic, wherein you just need to crouch down and move only when baddies have their backs turned to you. The execution feels really basic, but it gets the job done, although it only shows up all but 3 times during the first act before it's immediately dropped, never to be seen again, which unfortunately also extends to the puzzles as well. During the first act, you get a fairly good one featuring a bunch of moving cards to decipher the code to an elevator, which felt like the right amount of challenge to fun. Then the only other puzzle after that shows up when you're walking around some house figuring out the hints to unlock some missing girl's computer so you can snoop around. Out of the whole 4 to 5 hour experience, that's the only real gameplay involved. Otherwise, it's simply things like move here, interact with item, go there, use item, discard item, continue. You have an inventory, but you never need to use anything from it or combine items, since you'll just get contextual pop-ups whenever you need to do something, which makes Backbone feel a bit too simplistic. After the demo, which includes the prologue, it shifts away from a puzzle noir adventure game to more of a visual novel, wherein your actions matter less and less outside of altering some flavor text here and there. For a time, the beautiful pixel art and story were sufficient to keep me engaged despite the lack of gameplay, but that didn't last forever. The story likewise sees a decline in quality, featuring a bunch of swears, which is fine by itself, but here, they're overused to the point that they lose their punch and come across as kind of immature at times. Just like the quality of writing itself seems to fluctuate between serious and nonsensical to the setting they're trying to establish. A lot of clues and plotlines are mentioned or name-dropped once or twice, only to never turn up again or become irrelevant to the story entirely. Likewise, the clues you're out looking for during much of the second act are vague to the point of still being unclear precisely what's going on and who's who. They drop a heap of names and information on you all at once without being clear on it all, so it ends up feeling intentionally vague to make the player confused and think there's more going on than there actually is. Even during the discussions with Renee, your new employer/love interest, where you go over the details of the case together, left me feeling kind of confused in places. During the opening act, you uncover the body of the guy you were hired to find cheating on his wife, only to discover he's being chopped up and sold off. It turns out that the rich are literally eating the poor, which could have been an interesting enough plotline in of itself since you're out there looking into it for quite a while, only for it to be swept under the rug, mentioned occasionally, and basically forgotten about or made unimportant by the end. Then there's a bunch of other side plots and themes that are mentioned but never explored, such as the whole shepherdism thing being a stand-in for Christianity, or the predictable racism angle between different races and kinds of animal, with apes being at the top along with lions and bears and canines, then having the rest fall in somewhere beneath them. I think it would have been more of a benefit if they just stuck with the classism angle they had going on, rather than shallowly touching all these different subjects, only to develop none of them as a result. But okay. After a while, Backbone devolves into a cycle of go to location, walk around until prompt appears, use prompt, talk to person, go to next area, repeat. As a result, it comes across as lazy, repetitive, and worst of all, boring after a while. Again, I was willing to overlook the subpar to non-existent gameplay for a time due to the feels the mother of some missing girl was giving me, but you never come back here and speak to any of these characters again, which only compounds the issue with the linear storyline and the fact that as time progresses, my choices mattered less and less. Some parts also felt like they came out of nowhere, as characters may say or do things that felt really random given the way I was handling a conversation or the situation otherwise. It became such a challenge to keep my interest after a while that I ended up taking a couple of weeks off when I took a break, making it quite the effort to get myself to pick up and finish the game in the first place. The tail end of the game simply has a lot of very odd choices, like this cutscene where it's just a still of you and the boys chilling out under a bridge whilst the music plays. It comes across as jarring because there's no other part of the game like this, and it feels really out of place as a result. Granted, the parade float sequence is pretty cool, but it's just a shame what it was used for and what it immediately followed. Spoiler alert from this point on, since the ending was so bafflingly bizarre, I just have to talk about it in detail. As if things weren't unrecognizable enough from the strong opening prologue, the end of Act 3 is where the game decides to 180 kickflip the stool and neck itself. I'll give them credit because I did not expect the Steam blurb about personal change and transformation to be so literal, as you touch the black goo from Prometheus and turn into goddamn Venom. No, you actually look more like the egg sac from Dark Souls. Everything the plot had been building up to is suddenly dropped in favor for this abrupt tonal shift as you're infected with some alien parasite that rewrites people's DNA. It's as if the writers got tired of the whole noir thing and decided they wanted to make a sci-fi story now instead. Or they watched From Dusk Till Dawn and figured, yeah, we can do that. At this point, the noir storyline is as dead as that otter's husband, and it comes across as some pretentious absurdity at inner meaning or some crap. A lot of self-reflecting dialogue between you and the parasite affecting your mind takes place, then some illusion of choice decisions as you chill with the Losers Club. Honestly, I would have been willing to give this twist a chance, but without any meaningful choices and with how rushed the storytelling feels by now, it's just a disappointment. I would have even been fine with having the choice of just living here with my bros, something akin to the Leaf Town Early choice from the Blade Runner game, but no. Instead, we're forced to get captured, experimented on, escape, then treated to an utterly baffling and unsatisfying ending that undermines the strong, promising opening the demo set up. There's even a 2-minute section where you control Renee and Clarissa in what amounts to a "Howard's dead because I basically killed him, now you work for me, okay? Okay, I'm gonna make you a leader of revolution, by the way." Then there's no closure or ending that really shows any of what came of this. Instead, we watch Howard walk around outside the wall until he falls down and commits die, which I don't even know how he could have gotten out there, since the only bloke he talked to about this stuff had no intention of helping him. I just don't know what went wrong. Did EggNut run out of time? Did they run out of budget? Is it meant to be a sequel hook? It's just a confused mess that doesn't know what it wants anymore. All in all, despite the fantastic looking aesthetics and moody music, it's truly disappointing what became of Backbone after its strong opening act. It starts off great, then drops a bit during the second act, only to take the plunge down the rabbit hole into absurdity and lose any and all interest I had in it by the piss poor ending. Again, it genuinely makes me wonder if it ran out of either steam or money after realizing how much time and effort they put into the prologue. Even the pixel art started to suffer a bit towards the end, with animations being lazily flipped, like Howard's injured ear switching sides, or changing hands he holds a gun with when he finally gets one. If it maintained the same level of quality as the prologue and focused on just one of its many different plotlines, it could have been so much better. And having paid the full asking price, it's severely overpriced for what I got. I hope EggNut will come back to revisit and revise the ending, maybe include some actual multiple outcomes, because as it is, I cannot recommend Backbone in its current state. It's such a strange, fumbling disappointment of an ending.